move along. So we acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. Alberta Innovates respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on traditional territory of the Treaty 6, Treaty 7, and Treaty 8 First Nations, home to Métis settlements and the Métis Nation of Alberta and regions 2, 3, and 4 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant community. So at Alberta Innovates, so my name, first off, is Lori Adams. I work in the entrepreneurial investments part of Alberta Innovates, and we are out of the Calgary office is where I am, and my counterpart, Sandra Candy, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, is in Edmonton. So how does Alberta Innovates fit into today's innovation ecosystem? Well, we are a convener and a connector. We're a partner and a collaborator, and a funder and a service provider. We work with a vast network of innovation organizations of which we are part of, which also include academia and industry to develop and commercialize innovative solutions in Alberta's priority areas of health, energy, agriculture, and emerging technologies. We also are proud to support Alberta's 8 regional innovation networks and the entrepreneurs and the service providers that work within those networks to help businesses with their by providing their service and expertise. So within the entrepreneurial ecosystem, we have is the area I work in Alberta Innovates. We work within the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Alberta is home to nearly 3,000 technology companies, which increases year on year. Our tech sector employs well over 170,000 people. In the first half of 2022, Calgary attracted the 4th highest venture capital investment in Canada. And we're on pace to exceed those numbers this year as well. While other provinces may have seen a dip in VC investment, here in Alberta, we continue to see increases. Alberta's research and innovation system and its technology commercialization support programs make the province an attractive place for companies to accelerate their innovations into the global marketplace. Alberta leads the country in female entrepreneurship, with many organizations that have both female founders and female co-founders. Alberta is expanding its access to capital and building the capacity of Indigenous communities and groups to invest in major projects. The Alberta Indigenous Opportunities Corporation is a first of its kind Crown corporation in Canada that has the capacity to provide up to $1 billion in loan guarantees for Indigenous investment opportunities. So here, our mission is within entrepreneurial investments is to accelerate high potential, high growth technology and knowledge-based entrepreneurs. Today, we are focusing on how to help those entrepreneurs become competitive on a global stage. And we'll be doing that by looking at some education, tips and tricks to help build knowledge, and then who to go and talk with. That'll be our other presenters, including parts of Alberta Innovates as well. But our other presenters will be, they will talk about how they interact in the global ecosystem, and they become part of your support and help you with those areas that we're going to talk about in this first educational section. So SMEs engaged in global value chains tend to be more productive. And the global value chain is large. We were at a presentation for an upcoming trade fair in Hanover Messe in Germany that will be in April 2024. It was interesting because during the presentation, what was presented is, especially in Germany, traditionally high in manufacturing, but unbeknownst to many people, it is still analog. They are requiring digitization. So there's many places that Alberta can participate, and we can take things like the digitization that we have been working on in what may be our more traditional industries and take that and apply it elsewhere. We have a company who had built their product initially in the oil and gas industry. They're now doing a project that we're very, very proud to sponsor that is actually taking place in the food industry. So always keep in mind, what could you be working in that maybe you traditionally haven't been working in? And what part of the value chain could you be bringing your products and services to? We're fortunate to have government policies that target the development of strategic partnerships, where we can link the SMEs with business partners through contractual arrangements, joint ventures, or consortiums. We encourage you to look not only within the province of Alberta, but look across Canada and outside Canada. There may be more opportunity in an area that the regulatory is different than here in Alberta, that your product would actually be welcomed into. So there are many, many reasons why SMEs can consider going global. But we've got 4 that we have really looked into and put here. First, you're flexible, you're creative, and you can iterate. Large companies don't necessarily have that flexibility. They cannot pivot as quickly as you can. And they're looking to SMEs to help them with that. We have companies that come in on missions that maybe the government of Alberta has brought in, or maybe they've come in through our trade commissioner services. And these are many times large multinational companies that there's the opportunity for yourselves to be able to be part of helping them with the next level of their technology development. So of course, knowledge is power. There are things that you need to be looking at before you could, while you're considering going global. And our partners here today, they touch some more on this, but they for sure will help you in the areas that you're looking at, whether it's the Trade Commissioner Service, whether it's you're working with NRC IRAP research project, or with the Government of Alberta trade team. They'll ask you questions. Will you be able to keep up with the growing demand? Are you prepared for the legal and financial implications of going global? Can you compete in international markets? I'm sure you can, but what do you really need to know to be doing that? We had an SME who was part of a panel on a program I was at on Monday. And she was came with us to the Hanover Messe last year. And she ended up pivoting her business after going there and seeing what the competitors were, seeing what companies were interested in. And since she's been there, and has done that pivot, she has just been connecting with more and more of the right people. She's been able to increase her investment and just even attracting, which is another thing, the right team. Because she has been out there, she's looked, she knows more where she's going. She's able to put those right people in place and to be able to attract that talent to come be part of her team. You also need to know, do you have the right tools and support to succeed in the exporting ecosystem? So here's an interesting thing that I that I found by the IMD World Competitiveness Ranking. Alberta, with a population of about 4.4 million, is not that much smaller than Denmark, the #1 2023 company, or Ireland. Switzerland is a little bit bigger, but we need to consider that the top 3 countries are small economies that make good use of their access to markets and trading partners. If we look at the GDPs, Canada's is quite a bit larger than some of these countries, but Alberta's GDP is not that much smaller than Denmark. We could easily scale to Ireland's and so forth. And I was reminded earlier today that maybe our location doesn't look the same as some of these countries. Who are they close to? How can they get? But I was reminded today that Alberta has the largest inland port. We have a network of programs, infrastructure, people, services, and technologies. We have a foreign trade zone where investors are eligible for duty and tax-free relief, as well as value-added manufacturing to create Canadian labeled products. If you're looking to go into Asia, our proximity to Tokyo, Seoul, Manila, New Delhi, Singapore is actually closer. Even though we're inland, our proximity is closer by air than it is from Seattle, Washington, which is right on the coast. So these are things to consider. We do have the capacity to reach out and make things happen, even though those places may seem far away. What else you need to consider is the ease of doing business in the country that you're looking at. So we have here, there's the ranking. Canada is ranked 23rd in ease of doing business around the world. Other countries not necessarily ranked as high. That isn't necessarily preventative from doing business. It's just something that you need to be aware of. And when you have the right resources and you do the research and you work with the people, you'll be able to look at how to best overcome any of these challenges. I thought this was interesting, this family businesses across the world, because we have an SME who went over to Germany last year and was very surprised to learn that business in Germany is a lot of family businesses. And it's not a negative to be working with a family business. In fact, in 2023, EY, the University of St. Gallen Index showed the largest 500 family businesses are growing faster than the global economy, and at nearly twice the rate of advanced economies and around 1.5 times the rate of the emerging market. Collectively, they generate over 8 trillion in revenue and employ about 24.5 million people worldwide. Some of these family businesses you can find as public companies, many with still a family member at the head of the company, or many times they're private companies. They may not do business the same way. Many times they are in multiple verticals. They are strong horizontally. They're in industries all over the place. So it's really worth it to know, and what kind of business are you dealing with, and how may I need to adjust my plan when I'm working with them. Other things to consider is the problematic factors for doing business. This is where working with the right government organization resources that are available can help you learn about these problems. If they arise, or when they arise, and when they know what area you're interested in, can certainly help you navigate and make you aware as to what should you be looking at in that particular market. Culture. I love that. Companies don't go global, people do. Many people underestimate the impacts of culture on international business. Cultural things like eye contact, hand-holding, showing the soles of your feet, or when to start negotiations or even a business discussion. They can differ around the world. In some countries, negotiations don't actually start until the contract is signed. It can throw a lot of people off. We had a trade commissioner on Tuesday who came to us from New York. It was interesting because she was talking about the culture of New York City itself. And business people there, they don't want to talk about the weather. They don't want small talk. She said many times they're thought of as being very rude. She said, when you live in a city like New York, you need to be like, things are always in your face. She said, once companies realize, show up, say what it is that you do, say what it is that you'd like to get from that other company. And if they can help you, they will. If not, they may be able to introduce you to somebody who can. So I thought that was a great example of a type of culture to be aware of. So within culture, there are 6 dimensions that bring about 6 different issues. I have a graph here. This is just comparing within Canada and different countries. So individualism is the extent to which people feel independent as opposed to being interdependent as members of larger wholes. Individualism does not mean egoism. It means that individual choices and decisions are expected. Collectivism does not mean closeness. It means that one knows one's place in life, which is determined socially. Power distance is the extent to which less powerful members of organizations and institutions, like the family, accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. In femininity and masculinity, in a masculine society, men are supposed to be tough. Men are supposed to be from Mars and women from Venus. Winning is important for both genders. Quantity is important and big is beautiful. In a feminine society, the genders are emotionally closer. Competing is not so openly endorsed, and there is sympathy for the underdog. This is not about individuals, but about expected emotional gender roles. Uncertainty avoidance deals with a society's tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. Uncertainty avoidance has nothing to do with risk avoidance, nor with following the rules. It has to do with the anxiety and distrust in the face of the unknown, and conversely with a wish to have fixed habits and rituals and to know the truth. Long-term orientation deals with change. In a long-term oriented culture, the basic notion about the world is that it is in flux, and preparing for the future is always needed. In a short time-oriented culture, the world is essentially as it was created, so that the past provides a moral compass and adhering to it is morally good. Indulgence is about the good things in life. In an indulgent culture, it is good to be free. Doing what your impulses want you to do is good. Friends are important and life makes sense. In a restrained culture, the feeling is that life is hard and duty, not freedom, is the normal state of being. When you're entering into the foreign markets, as we spoke before, it is you can do business there. The ease can change or not. You really need to be aware of the legal and regulatory. Local laws, not just laws at the higher levels, but local laws even within the areas that you're working in may be subtly different. You need to know the regulations and guidelines. So the right resources to help you with those are very important. Some of the things to consider those labor and employment laws, tax laws, know the tax, have a good tax lawyer, know the patent laws, have the right legal guidance that is an expert in the area that you are going into in the country. Your local lawyer here is probably a great lawyer here, but they may not be the right lawyer to help you with the overseas practices and to identify those hazards that could cause that barrier to entry. We even see in countries, for example, in China is introducing IP legislation and laws. However, the country is so large and IP issues so abundant that enforcement is years behind. Obtaining a trade secret by reverse engineering is not a trade secret infringement. However, patents and patent license agreements must be filed at the State Intellectual Property Office. It's good to know whether your countries are following civil or common laws. Many people don't know that even within Canada, the majority of Canada follows common laws. However, in Quebec, there's a mix of common and civil laws that apply. We need understanding of the foreign government, and once again, working with the resources that are there can help you navigate what you need to know when working with that foreign government or working with that foreign government. And please recognize that while there may be a legally recognized system of the government, it may not be realized in the form of government governance that you're used to here in Alberta and Canada. Also, it's good to be aware of what is the background of the types of government. Is it like Canada, where we're a parliamentary constitutional monarchy, or is it an absolute monarchy? Is it more set up like the United States, a presidential republic? These are important things to know. It's also good to know about expropriation, especially if you are planning on setting up any business and hiring people within those countries. As an example, in Canada, if we were to look at Canadian companies here, let's say we had a Canadian oil and gas company. Within Canada, the government of Canada has the right to expropriate that company's resources without any compensation. But within Canada, if a foreign entity has business in Canada, let's say in the oil and gas, if the Canadian government expropriates their property, they have to pay them a fair compensation. The government holds the key to the contract integrity, employees' security, rights, risks, intellectual properties, and other facets in conducting the business. So it's never too, it's always good to be prepared and go in with your eyes open. So things like a currency exchange rate, it's important to even know these. I had the opportunity to meet with some Argentinian companies and Argentinian government during the Global Energy Show in June. And there are Alberta companies working there and companies from elsewhere in the world. Very, very high inflation there. There's things on the exchange rates. We wonder how you get paid. How do you go in? People are managing to get paid, but it is very, it's quite difficult to navigate, but it is being done. Another thing is, some governments are slow to react to technological advancements and change of regulations. As I spoke about earlier, Canada has a very strong health and safety regulation. But there are companies that are not selling within the health and safety in Canada, but find regulatory environments that are more favorable to their products elsewhere. So you have a business plan, I'm sure, right now, that especially if you're developing locally, or even you have a lean model canvas, a business model canvas, you have something where you've looked at the industries, you've identified your markets. You need to do the same thing for every area that you are looking to go internationally. And you need to also look at, does that business model translate into the country that I'm going to? Let's say, as an example, you're direct selling. You have sales folks here, you're direct selling into the market here locally. Maybe you're even direct selling into the United States. But if you wanted to sell into Saudi Arabia, or you wanted to sell into Korea with your product, maybe your product it's better to have a distributor. Maybe that type of business model works for you. Or maybe reverse, maybe you have a distributorship that you've been working with and you're learning it's better to actually do direct selling. So these are all types of things that you need to think about when you're doing your business plan. So, advice. Google, first and foremost, is open 24/7, but we're going to hear today from other places like NRCI, RAP International, the Alberta Government Office, and the Trade Commissioner Service on how they can help you going global. Now I'm just going to move into a bit of there's grants will be talked about for the other programs. I'm going to talk a little bit now about the funding programs that we have within Alberta Innovates, specifically around going global. So we have what we call the International Technology Partnership Program. And that's to help small and medium entrepreneurs to commercialize their products, to achieve optimal market position, and to expand globally. So we have our B2B networking program. We piloted this last year where we worked with the government of Alberta and with ECCIR, and we took companies we funded companies, so a travel voucher to go to Medica, a health and technology show in Germany, and to Hannover Messe, which was a manufacturing show in Germany. But it's more than just a manufacturing show, as I alluded to earlier. There was hydrogen there was energy, there was a lot about digital and so forth. So we are looking to have this program for Arab Health in January, and we are looking to do this again for Hannover Messe in April 2024. We also have our investment programs, our funding programs, where companies who have partners can benefit through our funding to do development work or technology work. So the first of those is our International Technology Partnership Funding Program. In that, if there's funding available to the SME, up to $250,000 from Alberta Innovates. In order to receive that $250,000 from Alberta Innovates, the applicant, yourself, the SME, needs to match that with a $250,000, and your partner needs to match that with another $250,000. As well, we have seen, and partners are able, if they have a program on their side, similar to Alberta Innovates, to apply to those programs to put towards the project as well, making it $1 million or plus project. So the applicant's $250,000 is made up of $125,000 cash and $125,000 in kind. And the partner can be 100% cash or 100% in kind, but it must be the value of $250,000. The program is for up to 18 months, and it is open all the time. We're looking that companies have a minimum viable product, are developing, testing, piloting, and probably many times iterating through those phases. And that the partner in this case is an international company. We're looking in the TRL 6 to 8 levels. We also have our product demonstration program, which is funding, and you can have 2 of these, not concurrently, but you could have a maximum of 2 for your product. So with funding from Alberta Innovates of up to $150,000, this is matched by the applicant. The partner does not have to put any dollars in, but it always looks good if they are. They do have to put their time in to the project. The applicant's portion is $75,000 cash and $75,000 in kind. So the cash part from the applicant can be to hire new labor, can be to purchase materials, it can cover operating costs. The in-kind can be in materials that are in inventory. It can be labor that is existing in the company, including the founder, even if the founder is not paying themselves at that time. It's a continuous intake as well, and the term for it is 12 months. We are not expecting development work here, though fully understand in software, development never ends. So we are expecting, especially in that software, that core technology is there, but knowing that that market that you're going into or that partner may require some development work to be able to actually get to that sale. The strategic partners' participation is very important for the project because we're looking for them to be a first buyer or to be a purchaser in a new market, or purchaser who is allowing you to expand your market maybe outside of Alberta. And last for me here is in ventures, which we would love it if you could come and join us in Calgary from May 29th to May 31st. We have many investors who come to this. We have great speakers who come, and you know, it's a great way to even meet the people that you're not necessarily meeting. I very rarely, and many of my colleagues rarely actually get into as many sessions as we'd like to, because we're just running into people all over the place and having fantastic conversations connecting. So I thank you, and I will now turn this over to our next presenter, Carl Miller. And Carl, I will be operating the slides for yourself. So just kind of let me know when you want me to change the slide.
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
Thanks, Lori. Lori, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure everybody's, I've just been switching platforms. I just want to make sure that I am coming in loud and clear. Yeah, if you could bring up the first slide, and Lori, I'll just ask you to switch slides every time that I need you to do that. That would be great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks for the introduction, Lori. Thanks for all the background about the advantages of going global. Everyone, my name is Carl Miller. I'm an international advisor with IRAP. I'd like to start with a bit of background. Lori, if you could change that slide. Perfect. And I'll try not to get into the acronym stew that is the federal government, but just to understand, IRAP is the Industrial Research Assistance Program. It's been around for 76 years now. We're part of the larger National Research Council Canada, or NRC. NRC has been around since 1916. It's approximately 3,500 people, mostly in research institutes. If you could switch to the next slide. And those research that we've got a lot of them, but think research institutes, things like plant biotechnology, astrophysics, ocean and coastal engineering, construction. We've got a mining group, we have aerospace, all of those kinds of pieces. Now, whereas NRC focuses on fundamental research, similar to what you'd find at universities, IRAP focuses on commercialization. Next slide, please. Now, so we are a federal organization. If you can switch to the next one, Lori. But we're located and operated in 110 communities Canada-wide. So we're about as local as you possibly can get. And technically speaking, we are a tiny subset of NRC. NRC is about 3,500 people. IRAP is mainly comprised of 265 ITAs, or industrial technology advisors. Next slide. I like to joke that the men and women that make up this cohort either have gray hair or no hair. So what I mean by that is they're not fresh out of college, and they typically come from one of two backgrounds. Either they've done product development in a large technology organization, think something the scale of BlackBerry or Nortel, or they've started their own technology company. Next slide, please. So when I say they've started their own technology company, uh, they've figured out a product from the technology. They've raised money for the venture. They've met payroll. They've done sales. They do warranty, all of those kinds of things. And then either they've sold the company, or they blew it up, or they have some combination there. Next slide. Their main reason for existence is to provide advice, be able to help companies avoid the potholes and the pitfalls of the product development and commercialization road. So the way to think about that is that they're trying to use the experience that they have and the people that they know to be able to help companies get a step up from dealing with some of those kinds of issues. The second thing that IRAP has is a really big network. Each of those industrial technology advisors advises approximately 20 clients a year. We've got a database of 80,000 companies that we've worked with over the year. So if there's a research and development relationship or a commercial relationship that could be helpful, we can help make those introductions. The third thing that IRAP has is funding, and the funding is there to be able to help companies hire technical horsepower. So engineers, software developers, research scientists, with the sole idea that they're there to be able to reduce the technical risk. So not the market risk, not the business risk, but the technical risk. Now, when I talk about technical risk, I like to use an oil patch analogy. So imagine you're a downhole tool company. You know, you lease or sell tools into the drilling industry. You've got a suite of tools, but you don't have a measurement while drilling tool. So you take two engineers, put them in a room for 6 months. They design a tool, they build it, they stick it down a hole, it works, and they add it to their product line. That's probably not enough market risk, or sorry, enough technical risk for IRA. And the idea being there is you already knew what the engineers were going to do before they started. If we flip to the market side, we're looking for a big market upside. And in keeping with the analogy, if your market is Ponoka, that's not ambitious enough for IRAP. We'd like you to start in Ponoka, then take over Alberta. Then you're looking at West Texas because that's an application for the new tool. And once you're in Texas, offshore Nigeria is a place that you'd want to be. So it's that technical risk and that growth ambition. Next slide, please. The IRA is pretty simple that way. It's advice, it's a network, and it's funding. Which brings us to on the last slide on the bottom right hand side, it brings us to international. Next slide. And again, please. So IRAP International is very similar. So it's funding, advisory, and services. But when you're looking at this slide, you're probably asking yourself, you're going, so what exactly is co-innovation? Now, co-innovation is not, and if you can get the next slide there, Lori. So the way I'd like to describe it is co-innovation is not exporting chickpeas. It's not exporting chickpeas in point of sale packaging. It is not exporting chickpeas as a value-added end product like flour. It is having a technology that isolates protein from chickpeas, and you're looking for an international partner to co-develop the technology and integrate that technology into a value-added product. Think something like breakfast cereal, or a protein drink, or food additive, or animal feed, something like that. Next slide. So co-innovation is typically three things. And if you can move forward again there, Lori, on the next slide, co-development is we think of co-innovation of three things. One is adaptation of the technology. So you're trying to adapt to the regulations or the standards that exist in the new target market, typically overseas. Could be validation, where you're trying to validate the function of it. Does it work exactly the same? Is the performance of it is the same? Does it provide the same value to the end customers that we have here in North America? It also could be co-development of a technology solution, taking technology that you as a company has, combining that with the technology from another company overseas and putting them together to find a bigger, better solution. Next slide. So how do we do that? So this is just a quick understanding of the methodology. So how do we do that? Well, we've got a three-stage process, which is assess, connect, and execute. Assess is kind of like a prep school. The main thing that we have there is ICAP, which is the International Co-Innovation Action Plan Program. It's a 2-day workshop, 3 hours each day, where we're trying to answer the why, what, who, where, when, and how of that international collaboration. A company will attend along with their lead and industrial technology advisor, some of our international ITAs and international advisors. And the idea simply is to be able to help companies figure out a plan that they can execute within 6 months. IRAP helps support those salaries and some travel there to be able to get into that country to start doing that actual partnership development. The connect side of things is partnership development. So think of that as we have particular activities or missions that go to a particular country, and they're typically sector specific. So there be a cohort of 10 companies that might go into an economy to be able to understand, say, the agri-tech sector or clean tech. And the idea is to be able to get in country and meet those partners that you can possibly do work with. We also have matchmaking opportunities that come to Canada where companies can meet foreign partners when they're on a mission here. The third part of this is the execution of it. And this is the funding and support for multi-year co-innovation through programs such as the Canadian International Innovation Program in partnership with our colleagues over at Global Affairs. It covers five economies: Brazil, China, India, Israel, and South Korea. There's also Eureka, which covers 45 economies in Europe: Israel, South Korea, Argentina, Chile, and Singapore. Next slide, please. So how to get started? You go to the next slide. The simplest way to do that is to get a hold of IRAP through our 1877 number. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country or the province. That will get you through to our call center and get you connected into one of our client engagement advisors that can help find you an ITA. Or if you are already an IRAP client, please talk to your ITA about what the international opportunities are. That's all from me, Lori.
Great. Thank you so much, Carl. So we'll just take an opportunity right now to ask questions on these first two presentations. Does anybody have a question for Carl or myself? Pretty quiet group. All right, we must be doing a good job, Carl. So
excellent. So
yes.
Yeah. If they need any follow-up, either one of those two options is the simplest way to get plugged into IRAP.
Oh, so we have a question from David.
Okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is David, and I'm the founder and CEO at Asana Pay, payments and rewards platform for small businesses. We have run a pilot in Africa and successfully launched, and we're currently in the pilot phase in the US and planning to roll out as well in Canada and the UK. My question is to understand what Alberta Innovates plan is and structures are for foreign businesses that want to incorporate, launch, and thrive in the Canadian market, specifically in Alberta. Thank you.
For companies that want to come into, like, that are structured somewhere else and they want to move into Alberta
Yes,
and
correct.
start an office here. You know what?
Yes.
I am going to, we have Nicole on the line here and Song on the line. We at Alberta Innovates don't necessarily do things about that, but does anybody else who's on the line want to take this question or can help me out here?
I can jump in a little bit. There's going to be a few spoilers for my presentation, I guess. So the Trade Commissioner Service normally supports Canadian-based companies. So it really depends on what your presence in Canada would be. If it's a sales office or something like that, that's sort of minimal presence, we would not be able to support. If you're looking to, set up a venture here where you're going to have R&D happening, where you may have manufacturing, where you may have, you're going to grow employment locally, that's where we can help, but still we would only be supporting the international activities you'd be conducting from Alberta. So a company that is, it could be a foreign subsidiary in Alberta that has sufficient economic activity and economic benefit to Canada, we could support. But we wouldn't necessarily be supporting your local growth. We're not going to be helping you find activities within Canada. So that partially answers that, I guess.
Thank you, Nicole. David, where are you where are you located? In Alberta.
So we're currently not in Alberta. We're looking at making Alberta HQ and also to scale.
Okay. Do you know?
Deployments to run R&D to scale. Correct.
Okay. Do you are you looking at Calgary or Edmonton, or like, is there a certain city in Alberta that you are considering?
We're currently looking at Edmonton. I joined this call primarily by I was recommended or I was referred by someone, a mentor of the 500 Global team, and I was informed that Alberta Innovates works very closely with the Edmonton and the Edmonton program of 500 Global. So I jumped on this call to get more information and also to see with exploring going forward.
Okay, well, what I'm going to, at the end, we're actually going to be putting up the contact information for Edmonton Global. And they are a municipal, they work on taking companies to the world and helping companies wanting to come into Edmonton, how to come in. And so the lady's name is Manisha, and we will have in our slide deck, we will have that contact, but at the very end here, we will have her contact as well. And I would highly recommend you reach out to Manisha and she can help direct you to the right resource.
Thank you very much. I will wait for that as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, we are going to proceed with our next presenter. Normally we have a break if this is live, but we know you can stand up where you are. So we're just going to continue on. And so we kind of introduced Nicole there while she was answering your question, but I would like to introduce Nicole, a trade commissioner here in Alberta, who is going to talk about their services and such. And so Nicole, just let me know when you want me to change the slide.
Yeah, absolutely. Please go ahead. And as you're doing that, just a big thank you, Lori, for organizing and also for giving such a comprehensive picture of so many considerations you need to go global in your presentation. You covered a lot. So thanks for that. So as Lori mentioned, I'm based in Alberta. I'm a trade commissioner based in Calgary, actually. And the Trade Commissioner Service is part of the Government of Canada. We are part of Global Affairs Canada, and our whole reason for being is to support the export activities of Canadian companies. And today I'll share with you some of the ways in which we do that. You could move to the next slide, please, Lori. And one more, please. So our premise is simple. Global markets offer Canadian companies access to new customers and increased revenues. And we help companies, primarily SMEs, unlock opportunities in new markets in various ways. A bit of background on us. So we've been around for almost 130 years. To give you a sense of our scale, we work with about 10,000 Canadian companies a year. We have more than 1,000 trade commissioners at 160 offices around the world. So some of those are in Canada. Most of those are in Canadian consulates, embassies, and high commissions around the world. Research shows that companies that use TCS services, we refer to ourselves as the TCS, companies that use our services are more successful than those that don't. The value of their exports is 18% higher, and they access 36% more markets. Next slide, please. Our support is free, but there is a threshold, and I mentioned this in my response to David's question. So we work with Canadian companies that have basically two components, and one of them is, the demonstrated capacity to bring value to the Canadian economy. So by and large, these are companies, that are Canadian-born companies, but not exclusively, depending on that potential for them to bring economic benefit. But also they have to have a demonstrated capacity for internationalization. So we can help companies that are just sort of, I guess, export curious and looking to export, but in terms of our key services, we're really looking for companies that already have some domestic market traction, and have allocated resources to their internationalization. Next slide. So I mentioned that we have offices throughout Canada. Our presence in Alberta is a team of 15, based mostly in Calgary. So there's 12 of us in Calgary and another 3 in Edmonton. And these are the sectors that we serve. These aren't the only sectors that the Trade Commissioner Service supports, but these are the ones we work on proactively. So we do support clients working in other areas. This mix looks a little bit different depending on which TCS office you're working with, because they align with the local market needs. So for example, here in Alberta, we have, of a team of 15, we have 5 trade commissioners that focus on the energy and clean tech space, just because energy is obviously such a huge part of our economy. But generally speaking, our role in the regional office is to be that first step, that first point of contact between you and our international networks abroad. Next slide, please. So these are our core services, and those regional offices, like I said, we are that first step, but also we're that preparation step. So of these 4 bullets, we're that first one, preparation for international markets. And we can do quite a few things for you in that regard. So a big part of it is navigating the local support ecosystem. I know from my work in clean tech specifically that, it can be a very large and convoluted space. There are a lot of partners. Carl mentioned the alphabet soup of the federal government. I mean, there are so many partners in clean tech alone that have support programs, that have grant funding, some of which companies are eligible for, some of which they're not. So we can help you navigate that, find the right ones, let you know which ones you're not eligible for so that you're not wasting your time on those. And we also help prepare companies by, first of all, sitting down and often asking a lot of questions. So trying to find out about your capacity for internationalization, how much have you thought through your market plan, to verify that you've made adequate preparations, to uncover your pain points, see where we can support and solve those pain points. I'll be quite honest, sometimes our answer can be no. It can be, you're not ready right now. You need to do these few things, or you need to focus some more efforts here, or you need a bit more domestic market traction. But even when you hear a no from a trade commissioner, I think the way to look at that is that it's saving you a lot of time, it's saving you a lot of resources that you might have spent on something that you're not ready to pursue, or that may not have gone well. But by and large, the answer is yes, absolutely, we're happy to support. Some of the other things we do, we host webinars, we have a presence at major trade events. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And we publish capability guides for certain sectors. So we have one, just as an example, I do a lot of work in emissions reduction. We commissioned the Petroleum Technology Alliance Canada, an industry partner to put one together on Canadian companies with expertise in anything related to detection and mitigation of methane emissions reduction. And so these guides are really useful in, highlighting Canadian expertise in certain areas to the world. That's just one example. We've done this across a number of sectors, so those are really handy documents. That next step, that market potential assessment, that's where we start bringing in our international colleagues. And I'll be very frank with you, the international network is really the value of the TCS. So the bulk of our trade commissioners are overseas, and they have, they're working in those markets, they're living in those markets, usually from those markets. They have a very deep network of local contacts. So they can provide you with things like market intelligence that help you determine if that's the right market for you or not. So they can, if you're curious about a market and you're not sure if it might be a right fit, you can be introduced to a trade commissioner in that market and just have a half-hour conversation where you can get an overview of the landscape. Maybe there are political considerations, cultural considerations, regulatory frameworks that would be really helpful for your business, or that would actually really impede you doing business in those markets. So they can give you that intelligence and help you identify, is this a market you want to pursue? Do you have what you need to pursue that market or not? And then getting into that third bullet there, the identification of qualified contacts. That's where those local networks are really key. So what do I mean by qualified contact? It could be a distributor, an agent, a buyer. It could be someone in the local government that can provide you with regulatory information. It can be, Laura, you alluded to this, having the right local lawyer. So it can be someone like a legal professional or an accountant, with those things that you need, and you don't want to be searching around, searching on Google in a market you don't know that may have, companies working in different languages. Our consulates and embassies have vetted service provider lists, so they can provide contacts that are known and trusted in that community, so that you don't have to do that vetting yourself. And then finally, we can provide some commercial problem solving. So I'll caveat that with, the fact that we do not get directly involved in commercial disputes. If there is a legal dispute that you have in another country, that's something that you'd have to resolve with a local legal counsel or something like that. But I'm talking more about, if there are customs issues, something's held up at a border, or if you need some advocacy support, things like that, that's where we can help. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that one of the ways we can provide support is through major trade events. I've just got a list here of some that have just happened domestically and some that are coming up internationally, just to give you a sense of how we support. So at Carbon Capture Canada last month, for example, we had a Trade Commissioner Service booth, which, if you've been to any trade shows where we've had a presence, it's just meeting tables. And the reason for that is our primary focus at these events is to have as many pre-planned business-to-business meetings or opportunities for Canadian companies to meet with trade commissioners that are visiting from international markets, to have as many of those meetings as possible, so that if you're going to a trade show, you can really take advantage of that convergence of people from all over the world to have those conversations, to have those meetings with international buyers. So for that particular event, we had 10 international trade commissioners representing 13 different countries that brought international buyers and foreign government officials, specifically to meet with Canadian companies. And we had almost 140 meetings take place over just 2 days on the show floor. So that's really a big part of what we do. Internationally, our presence looks a little bit different. So the Canada Pavilion will often have a co-exhibition opportunity where companies can, instead of going to, thinking of a show like ADIPEC, the Petroleum Conference in Abu Dhabi, very expensive, as many of these trade shows are. Maybe you can't afford a whole booth, but maybe you can afford a tenth of the booth at the Canada Pavilion or something like that. Meanwhile, you also get to exhibit under the Canada banner, which I think is a really great endorsement, especially when you're dealing with state-owned enterprises, for example. They're looking to see these companies have that endorsement of the Canadian government. It's a very good stamp of approval. So that's a big part of our presence at trade shows internationally. The B2B meetings, of course, are also a big component of that. Often there will be a market briefing event that precedes the event. So if you show up, for example, on a Sunday for a show that starts on a Monday or Tuesday, Monday, we might have trade commissioners from around the region present on their markets and let you know where the opportunities are, where the potential challenges are, things like that. So to give you a lot of that intelligence before you start your meetings for the show. And then there's often networking and other things like that. So here's just a small sampling of where we have presence. If you visit that link at the bottom of the page, you'll be kept up to date on where we will have TCS programming at major international events. Next slide, please. So we have a few specific programs as well that we host. One of them is the Canadian Technology Accelerator, which, despite its name, is not actually a tech accelerator. It's a market entry accelerator. So the idea is that companies that have some domestic traction and are looking quite seriously at a certain market or region can join these programs in those specific target sectors that I mentioned. So they are all tech related. And these are in 13 specific markets. So we have 4 in the US. We have them in Mexico, Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, Hong Kong, 2 in Germany, in the UK, and in India. So a bit of background on these programs. 730 plus companies have participated, and they have raised in total more than $742 million in capital and generated nearly $300 million in revenue and made 1,200 strategic partnerships. So the way these programs work is that they immerse Canadian companies in these international tech hubs, and companies receive personalized support, mentorship, exposure, introductions to potential partners, investors, and customers. Typically, the way these are structured is you have 4 to 6 weeks of virtual programming before an in-market component. Often aligns with a major trade show, but not necessarily. And these are specific to certain subsectors. So each one will look a little bit different. Again, I would encourage you to visit the link to see which ones are on offer over the next year or so. Like our programming, typically there's no cost associated with participating in these programs. It's just companies do have to cover their own travel costs. Next slide, please. Actually, sorry, can you go back? I'll just mention a few. Do you mind going back one, Laurie? Thank you. Just wanted to mention while we're on this slide, a few that are upcoming. So we have Silicon Valley FinTech CTA, one for technologies in California and the upper Midwest of the US, Clean Tech in Mexico, focusing on supply chain. Applications for all 3 of those are closing on October 25th. There was one planned for artificial intelligence in India. And to give you a flavor of ones that we've recently done, there's one in Taipei for healthcare technology, one in the UK for digital health, one in Japan for creative and entertainment tech, one in New York and LA for retail tech, one in Hong Kong for sustainability tech, and a fintech one for Singapore and Hong Kong. Those run jointly in both cities. And then you can go forward again, please. Thanks. So we also take part in the Canadian International Innovation Program, and this is more for earlier stage companies to pursue international R&D collaboration with foreign partners. It's aimed at certain markets in particular. So you'll see some partnership missions listed down there at the bottom. Markets of focus are typically Germany, Israel, Brazil, and also China and South Korea. So again, another link that you can follow to see where there are upcoming missions. Next slide, please. We also have grant funding programs for international business development activities, and the program's called Can Export. There are 2 streams. There's the innovation stream and the SME stream. So the innovation stream is aimed at facilitating international R&D collaboration. And this is really to support all of the activities that go into signing an international partnership for R&D work. So a pilot, for example. This can be companies that are pre-revenue can be eligible for this one, and also it doesn't have to be a for-profit company for this. So you'll see there the cost share is 75-25. So CanExport covers up to 75% of the project costs, and the project budget is up to $100,000. I believe the minimum threshold is 30,000. And there's some criteria there about owning or co-owning IP rights at TRL 4 or above. So the types of specific activities this program funds are things like international travel, to meet with partners, attending events, trade shows, conferences, etc., where you may meet some of the target organizations that you'd like to partner with. It can cover the cost of sending equipment to determine, whether it works together with a partner's equipment. It can be product certification, translation of marketing material, IP protection. These sorts of things are covered under this program. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. Feel like we've missed one, but anyway, I'll talk about the CanExport SME program. And so I mentioned that, yeah, I don't know where. No, okay. All right, we'll sit on this one. Sorry, somewhere I got lost, but that's okay. If you follow the CanExport link that's there, it will take you to the SME stream as well. So that's aimed at for-profit companies that have a minimum of $100,000 revenue in the previous tax years, up to $100 million. So the idea is really that this is for small and medium-sized companies. The project budget is, again, a minimum threshold of, I can't remember now if it's $20,000 or $30,000. But the cost share for that one is actually 50-50. It funds the same types of activities, so conference fees, international travel, translation of marketing materials, search engine optimization is another one. So similar activities, but this can be a whole suite of basically international business development activities. You can apply to up to 5 international markets at a time. But just to note, some of the larger markets, China, Brazil, the US, for example, we break those into multiple markets. So the US, we have broken into 4 separate markets just because it's so large. So you could, $20,000 or $30,000 sounds like a lot for business development activities, but when you add up over the course of the year, if you think about all of your travel, all of your marketing costs, if you're looking at another market where there are language differences, you have to have translation done. If you need expert legal or business advice in a market and you're paying, consultant for that, all of these sorts of things, they can add up quite quickly. So those are the sorts of activities that's meant to cover. I will note this is an extremely competitive program. So it operates on the Government of Canada fiscal year starting April 1st and usually opens around February for activities from April 1st onwards. And it runs until the funding runs out. And this year it actually closed over the summer. Last year it closed in October, and each year that window gets shorter and shorter. So if this is something you're interested in, I would strongly encourage you to work on your application and have it ready in a couple months' time and submit it as quickly as possible when that window opens again. So I wish I could give you an exact date of when it will open. I don't have those details, but bookmark that website and keep an eye on it. So yeah, so that's really it for me. I'm happy to take any questions.
Pretty quiet. Well, thank you, Nicole. That was good. And thank you for going into the getting the application in sooner rather than later. How long is it? I know people ask this all the time. When can I hear about your funding? But about how, what is the length if I was to put it in when the program does open? About how long would it be till I could expect to hear something back?
So the service standard is 60 business days, which I recognize is a long time. The idea is that this funding is meant for something that you were planning to do anyway. Like, you shouldn't be completely dependent on this funding. And actually, to that point, it's it works by reimbursement. So you incur the expenses, you submit, all of your receipts and supporting data, and then you get reimbursed afterwards. So it should be something that you would otherwise probably have the capacity to do. But yeah, it's a bit of a wait, I have to say. So I know Song is going to speak after me. I have to admit, I often direct people to complementary provincial funding programs. And while I'm mentioning that, a lot of these can be stacked. So I believe the Alberta Export Expansion Program and Can Export can be stacked up to 75% of your project costs, which is helpful. So,
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. Really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thanks.
Feedback from Canadian, who say this is very excellent.
Okay, so we've had somebody make the comment here that this content is excellent. So we are so happy with that. And I have not introduced her, but I'm just gonna, well, because Chow is reading the questions. This is my counterpart, Chow. She has been instrumental in why this content is going and things are moving along, and we could not have done this without her. This is our third time, and she's just been fantastic. So thank you, Chow.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Nicole. And we will move on to Song now from the Government of Alberta.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Song Wang. I'm the team lead for North Asia Trade and Export Development Team with Ministry of Job, Economy, and Trade. So basically, for today, I'm going to present a number of information related to support Alberta SME develop global market, how Alberta government support Alberta SME going to international market. So within Alberta government, there's a two big trade and export development team supporting Alberta industry. The first big team is agriculture team, which is support everything agriculture related. The other one is not agriculture related. We call the non-agriculture products, such as oil and gas, environment, life science, ICT, those type of product, service, and technology going to international market. So that's a two big team working on support Alberta SME going to international. Beyond this two actual team, then we have a huge international office network team working in the marketplace, such as, for example, in Indo-Pacific area, we have seven international offices in Indo-Pacific slash Asia-Pacific area for international office support all Alberta company and the key stakeholder need and interest in that market. Next slide. For our team, which is a non-agriculture component, reside in Ministry of Job, Economy, and Trade, we have 5 geographic trade and export development team, including American team, Indo-Pacific team, North Asia team, Middle East, and Europe. So I'm leading North Asia team, which including market of Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and sometimes like including some areas such as Mongolia as well. And used to be a North Asia and Indo-Pacific team are the same team, but we separate. And Indo-Pacific team is more India and ASEAN country. That's our priority market. And definitely we have a Middle East team and Europe and American team as well. American team including North America and South America as well. The next one, please. So the focus area we have here, like as I mentioned, is energy, ICT, digital, which is advanced industry most likely, and aerospace, life science, clean tech / environment. Here, agriculture, we square it, which is within agriculture has a more different item for priority sector focus for each market areas. Some area focusing on commodity products, some of the area focusing on value-added food products and technology partnership. Next one, please. Here, a little bit difference for Alberta Agriculture, their export team compared with our team. They also have a 5 geographic region to focus. They have an American team, a Japan, South Korea team, Greater China, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East and North America, and Europe. So I believe they divided this team based on the products like commodity and focus different area, and the value added food focusing on different area, as well as some of the like value added food technology focusing on different area. Next one, please. Here is the map for our international office. Here, I have to say that our service, our international office service to Alberta company, similar like a trade commerce service in local market. Like most of the time, like our office co-located with trade commerce service office, such as like in China alone, we have 3 offices. Guangzhou, Shanghai, and Beijing. All 3 offices, Alberta office, co-located with Canadian Embassy as well as the Canadian Consulate General in Guangzhou and in Shanghai. In Indo-Pacific area, only 1 office is not co-located, which is the Japan office. Alberta Japan office is a separate, used to be co-located with the Canadian Embassy Japan, but now it's separate. And whatever the situation, like our office provided a lot of support to Alberta SME when they come into the market. Like it's a very similar like trade commerce service, but however, most of the Alberta company and the key stakeholder we work with and the Alberta partner approaching to the market, they contact our office, and then our office try to resolve their issues, help them as much as we can. If we do have a challenge, and then our office approaching to the trade commerce service, and some of the project basically is join the project. And a lot of scenario, trade commerce service as well as our office in market work very, very closely on the same issue and the same matter, and as well as on the same project. Next one, please. Yeah, this showing what we do. Like primarily, we provided support to Alberta SME. This is reflected from next slides. Yeah, as we know, like most of Alberta company are SME. Like for those have SME, they may have a little bit challenge for themselves individually going to the international market. With our help and make things a little bit easier for them and more confident to explore and to access and to work with the market. And primarily, like we think we look for those type of Alberta company who are ready, are willing, and able to explore the market that we are working with them, such as in Indo-Pacific area, in my market, like very specific for North Asia, Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. Sometimes a lot of challenge in those markets, and the SME are like hesitated to go into that market with our help. They do increase their confidence as well as increase their capability to access to growth in that market. And here, I have to say that most of the time we look for the company ready, willing, able to work in the market. But however, this is a very soft kind of standard. If you are willing to work and are able to go to the market, and then it's ready or not ready, but it will help you. And in any case, whatever challenge and you have will help you. Next, please. So what we do here, we do three big things to support Alberta SME to access to the international market. The first things we organize outgoing trade mission. Like for trade mission, most of the time we build by working with Trade Commerce Service, build a booth and recruiting Alberta company and who has interest in this market. And during the mission, we help. If we have an office there, then our office also help to arrange B2B meeting and arrange the programs such as a local seminar. We arrange the programs such as a site visit program. And also, our office help to arrange some of the local logistics support to the mission come into the market. And so that's one type of big things we do. And also, we work with our office, we work with Trade Commerce Service very closely to follow up to the trade mission we organized. And once they come back and we follow up for any result and achievement in certain time period, say every 6 months, every year and 12 months, to see what success and what continuous support they may need from the trade mission we organized. The second big things we do here is on the incoming delegation. We support incoming delegation, connect them back to Alberta with Alberta company who has an interest in certain area. We do this through a number of big things. One of the big things Alberta we have here is such as Global Energy Show and WPC World Petroleum Conference, Beth Venture Farm Ventures. All those are big events in Alberta every year. Has some international company come in to participate, and then once they finish the participation of the big event, then they want to meet with Alberta company. So for this scenario, we support them, connect them back to Alberta company. Another big category of the delegation coming into the Alberta is through our international office network, through foreign government, like approaching to Alberta government. When they visit Alberta and they bring in business delegation, under this scenario, we provide full program support to the delegation, which connected them to Alberta company who has an interest in certain topic as well as a certain market. So that's the second thing we do. And the third things we do here is we work with local key stakeholders, and we work with local business industry and associations such as Hong Kong TDC, Hong Kong TBA, CCBC. We work with Calgary Economic Development, Edmonton Global to organize local event for information, for market education, and prepare Alberta company to access to the market, and also some of the organize big foreign company. This is one of the things that we did a lot before COVID, like working with such as Sinopec in Calgary, and bring their opportunity directly to the company in Alberta, like who want to access to those big giant international company. So this is the third things that we're working on. And beyond those, we have lots of other stuff like supporting Alberta company. Next one, please. So here is some of the upcoming mission we organized. And we have 5 geographic team as mentioned before, but here I just like to mention a few mission is going on and going to happen within our team, like Alberta hydrogen mission to Korea and China. Actually, it's going on now. It's a few companies already in China, in Guangzhou, supported by Alberta Guangzhou office, and in Chongqing, supported by Alberta Beijing office, and in Seoul of the Korea, supported by Alberta Seoul office. So that's the current hydrogen mission is in market. And then upcoming one of the big mission, our team working with Deep Tech Canada, used to call the Nano Japan mission, but now it's called a Clean Tech and Manufacturing mission to Japan and Korea. For that mission, our minister possibly will be joining partially of that mission to Japan. So those are a mission each team has a different type of mission. For example, our Indo-Pacific team has a mission to Singapore, participate Singapore Air Show. That's for aerospace side. The Thailand, medical Thailand, and all those things Arab Health is going to upcoming one. So there's each year we organize each geographic team average for each person has 2 missions roughly. So overall we have 30 plus missions each year going out. Next one. Next one. This is all mission list. Yeah, resources how did you get informed of our information? Basically, we have our own CRM system, and if we dealt with you before, you should be in our system, through different type of event, and then when we do mission, we spread out all those information through our CRM system, as well as through our newsletter. We also have a website. If you frequently visit our website, Alberta government website, there's a website there. You can see all the event we list there. You can see. So if you have interest, you just follow the contact in the event calendar, and then we'll talk to you and provide you all the planning, what we try to do and how you do join it. So all those mission information. Next one. Yeah, similar. Alberta Agriculture has a similar process like us to keep information flow to the industry, to Alberta company, and about the market information and about the mission outgoing, as well as about the key opportunity events in the international market. Next one, please. Yeah, here I like to mention about Alberta Export Expansion Package Program. This is the one of the program Alberta government has support Alberta SME going to international market, and basically you can get half of your travel expense reimbursed once your application be approved. Some of the different category you may get more, like 75% share of the cost. It's very coincident. At the lunchtime, I received an email with regarding AEP program for this operational year, which is 2023 to 2024 operational year. AEP has $1 million in the project, in the program. It's all used up. And so at the moment, they temporarily stopped the program for this year. And then they are putting money for next year. And next year, once the money injected into the program will be reopened very soon. Exact time I have no information, but I assume it will be very soon. Next one, please. Yeah, I think that's all information I like to share with all of you. And if any question, just let me know. Thank you very much.
Nicole, I see a question from you.
Yeah, not a question so much as a comment. We have, Song mentioned that we, our two organizations work very closely together. That's absolutely true. the Alberta government does more outbound trade missions than the Trade Commissioner Service does. And we have a lot of clients that we work with that go on those missions, and we receive nothing but glowing positive feedback. So just wanted to really endorse the work that Song and his team do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Maria is echoing your thanks to Song and his team as well.
Yeah, we work with Song,
Thank you.
since 2014. So I will highly recommend to work with Alberta team in this case. They always have very good trade missions, and Trade Commissioner Office is very helpful as well.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we will move along here. So in our sessions in Calgary and in Edmonton, we actually had Calgary Economic Development speak to their work that they do in the Calgary area. And this morning we had in Edmonton here, Edmonton Global, which is David, who I believe is probably the best for you to connect with, as I said earlier. If anybody here is in those cities, there is resources to connect with at their end, and they also do missions. And they are also working very closely with the Trade Commissioner Service, with the Government of Alberta, trade folks like Song and his counterparts. So Lethbridge also has its own economic development. So if you are in the rural areas, I highly encourage you to reach out to them, but also maybe a larger urban area near you could be helpful as well. So what I would like to talk about that both Edmonton Global and Calgary Economic Development did present is the TAP program. So the TAP program, what's it about? It is those things that I was talking about in my presentation, getting ready. What is it that you need to work on? Working on that business. And so this is called the Trade Accelerator Program, and it is to help you put together a plan to go into the markets that you are interested in. We had Martha this morning from the Trade Commissioner Service said, when you come and visit her or Nicole or somebody, and you have worked on this, joined the TAP program, worked on your plan, it's a lot easier to show up with that, when you're talking with the regional trade commissioners, so they can then help connect you to that trade commissioner in the area that you're interested. It doesn't cost any money to be in the TAP program. At one time, you needed to have revenue that of a certain level. That has been removed, especially for our technology companies that may need to be going into some of these areas before they're even producing revenue here in Alberta. It's a national program, and as I said, Calgary Economic Development runs that program on behalf of Alberta, but Edmonton Global just ran their first cohort here the last couple of days. I have talked with many people who have taken it, and not one person that I've ever spoken with has regretted being in this program. So if you haven't, I would highly encourage you to reach out to the resources that we're going to show here and go online, and it's easy to Google this program as well and find it and see when you can sign up. And they've had, as was pointed out, they've had women-led cohorts, Indigenous cohorts, tech-specific, agribusiness. So there's some, flexibility. But Manisha, she said this morning, she was, maybe you're beside a company that is in honey or something, or cheese, and you're a tech company. Well, what could you possibly have in common? And she said, well, you wouldn't believe the kinds of relationships that people are making, even within companies here in Alberta when they go into these cohorts. So here's David, the contact I was saying to you. So Manisha Aurora she's the Director of Trade at Edmonton Global. Reach out to her about TAP. Also reach out to her about anything around the Edmonton area in the city of Edmonton at the municipal level. either going out on their missions or if you're looking to bring your business in. She's a fantastic point of contact there. And these slides will be available if you miss these contacts. And then we have the TAP team out of the Calgary Economic Development. So we have Nimrit and Rochelle. Reach out to them once again if you have any questions around TAP. And also if you have the same kinds of things at Calgary Economic Development, you have a company or know of a company that's interested in coming into the Calgary area, or Calgary is also on many missions as well. And when Song was talking, when he had brought up the Arab Health, this is also, I want to give an example how we're all working together. So we're working here, Alberta Innovates, the team that I'm part of, Manisha from Edmonton Global. We have looped in Calgary Economic Development. We're working with the government of Alberta. We're working at the Trade Commissioner service level, all to be working towards taking companies cohort, getting business to business meetings arranged prior to even going to Edmonton or to Arab Health. So we have Annika here. Annika? Do you want to talk about your experience at the TAP program? If you wouldn't mind coming on, that would be great.
Sure, it's Anka.
Oh, Anka, sorry.
Yeah, like it's okay. It's like Anka Dan. So my name is Anka Dan. My background's oil and gas HR, and I've done marketing during COVID. I ended up going back to school to do my PR management and my digital marketing for my app. So I founded an app just prior to COVID, and during COVID, it really isolated single parents. It's singleparentlife.app, and we've taken several accelerators, and we were not sure that we could. I had a few business associates that I personally know, and they're great friends of mine who have graduated from the TAP program, and I think we were cohort 8, 9. I'd have to look online. I can't even remember. It's been a while, but I believe it was just before the last year or this past. I don't even remember, but it was amazing in that sense that we are pre-revenue. We're still in development. We've been working on our app for quite a bit, but we should be live. We should have been live actually this year, but we should be live soon with this team. And we did it because we want to expand internationally and we want to move into the US. So the program is super in that, I'm a huge connector and supporter of other businesses, and being part of that program was allowed our company to connect with other different companies, which some will probably will be part of what we're building, because we're building an app that connects single parents. We're a mental health app. We're not a dating app, and we are adding the services that single parents need. So we are building ourselves locally, built again Alberta and then Canada, and then we're moving into the States. So the TAP, it's like I guess it would be sort of like a business plan, but it's called a export plan that we had to work on and complete within the 4 or 5 months. And we had in class full day events or courses. We had we were like the first one back from COVID, I believe, and we were able to do the in-class, and we also had some online as well. So the services that are provided are amazing because they support you in within Canada and international information on marketing, supports with updating your business plan because your business plan is always fluid, funding, raising, connecting with different requirements of your business like budgeting, finance. This is a while ago, so I'm trying to give you as much info as I can, but it was superb in that the connections we've made have been amazing. And we do try to attend the events as much as we can. I am a single parent and I have different streams of income. So for me to attend these events sometimes is challenging, but they do keep you in touch with all the presenters that just were here. And so, yeah, it was super. I would advise if you can do it, do it. And we were very fortunate that we didn't have to have revenue because we are still pre-revenue.
Well, thank you so much, Anka, for your testimonial. That's fantastic.
And a lot of support, like great. I've been part of Alberta, the Adventures. I started volunteering with you folks since day one. and I've worked my way through different accelerators, and I'm always happy to support, but also being able to support other businesses. So it's any of these that you take, like anything you've presented to us. I am here today because I want to learn more about funding, and I've connected with somebody at Alberta Innovates, but we're not an MVP. We're almost done. So I'm here to learn. I didn't know what this program was, this session was about. I knew it was about export, but we want to learn so that when we are live, we proceed quickly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you, Lori.
I hope you're at the right place and you got some value from today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, we did.
Well, that concludes our presentation for today. And is there any final questions here before we wrap up? Anything anyone wants to say? Well, I thank you all for coming and participating. This has been fantastic for myself. I think it's been fantastic for all of our presenters, just to be able to connect. And then when we get the feedback like we just had, it's wonderful. And so we encourage you, reach out. Even if one of us isn't, whoever you're reaching out to, we aren't the right person, that's okay. We will do our very best to make sure you are connected with the right person. And so thank you, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you in person sometime.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.